And I remember having conversations with you and saying that ROAS is not necessarily a metric that we should be very focused on. You talk more about how to have a positive experience with the ad. Can you talk about the decisions we make based on the ROAS metric and how it actually negatively impacts you when it comes to wanting to scale your business?
Of course. So ROAS is the worst metric, and if you ever measure it, you always make the wrong decisions. First, if you're running a lead generation campaign, you have no ROAS, right? Just running people to something that's free. How do you measure ROAS? And most of the people who argue that, well, they buy after. Exactly, when they buy after. So if you sell something for $7 and you measure ROAS and like, oh, I'm not profitable. Why are you not measuring when they buy after, right? So ROAS, or return on ad spend, is a measurement that was invented so advertisers can justify how they spend your money, but it's just not a metric you should follow to scale your business because you cannot control it. And what do I mean by you cannot control it? Like, you cannot control how much average Nancy or Joe gonna come to your website and spend today. That's not achieved by the ad. That's achieved by how much money Nancy has to spend today, what is her behavioral habits, how well is everything constructed on the website. But there's so many factors that affect how much people will spend. For example, the stock market or the housing market, which is crushed now. So if you have a house that's $500,000 and you woke up today and they say on the news, well, the housing market is 20% down, you're just $100K down on your house. You don't just kind of feelings like spending $3,000 today, right? So this is a very simple example. Another simple example is when Russia invaded Ukraine, all the accounts I managed collapsed for 2 weeks. People didn't want to spend money because the narrative in the media was Third World War, right? And people were like, squeeze their money. So you cannot control ROAS or how much money people can spend on your business. The one only metric that anyone should measure is how much does it cost you to acquire a customer. Advertising is not about profits. Everybody knows that who plays the game. Advertising is about acquiring customers that my business can generate repeated business from as longer as possible to generate as bigger LTV as possible out of them. And if you want to make decisions about should I stop a certain ad or not, you should basically understand what is your blended cost per acquisition for business. Just to put perspective between ROAS and blended cost per acquisition is the following. If your business at the moment before advertising spends $200 to acquire a customer through all the channels together, blended, and now you start running ads, they're not profitable in the ads manager with the ROAS. They're operating in minus on ROAS, right? So you're 0.5. You're not even breaking even in the ads. But your total cost per acquisition dropped from 200 to 150, right? You're just acquiring, 25% more customers now than before that you can generate second purchase, third purchase, retreat in Costa Rica, retreat in Bali, right? And that's all it is. Your job is to get more, to acquire more customers for as cheap as possible, so you can generate revenue from them, on repeated revenue from them. ROAS can be 5x, and the business can tank because they're not buying afterwards. They're buying your $12, $20, $50, whatever you're selling, but that's it. And you always make big decisions about how much it costs you to acquire a customer and not return on ad spend. You should measure ROI, business ROI, of course, return on investment, but measuring how much money you're making directly from the ad on that same day, it's not scalable. You will never scale your ad budget like that. unless you strike luck, and then when you increase your budget, those numbers drop, and then you're like, I need a new hack, and it doesn't work, and you go to another agency, promising you the same ROAS, but they have no control over it. Because if your ROAS is 5x, how much do you increase your ad budget? Maybe the business is losing money in the back end, right? So what if the ads are giving you good ROAS? And I've been in one business where we had 3x and they went boom in 6 months. Because once we started running the ads, they went in a position where like, this is just, I believe, oh, this is working, we don't have to do anything. And boom. So what if that was ROAS? I hope so that makes sense.
I think it actually makes you realize that you have to take a step back and look at everything from client acquisition as a whole. Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.